Hey there, folks. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and I'd like to ask you if you could take a moment to head over to my channel sponsor, Dubby, at Dubby.G.G. They have a wide assortment of different energy drink powders that you can put in your water if you'd like to avoid soda and high levels of sugar. You can use the code the G.I.G for 10% off of your entire order, and it would be helpful to the channel. Thank you very much. Hey there, folks. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and I decided to talk about my experience as a software tester at this point, because I don't just do play tests for video games. I also test software and websites and such for different companies on the back end of things. Now, I can't explicitly state who I may have done testing for, what algorithms I may have worked on. I can't talk about that because of NDAs. Unless the companies themselves say, hey, we've had this program out and these are the people that were involved, you will never hear from me who I have worked for or what I have done for them. Because I don't want to breach one, contract and get sued; two, trust with the companies and potential chances in the future to be able to test something again; and three, any potential income that might come from it. So I'm trying to give a general overview of what my personal experience has been when it has come down to software testing. Now, again, I do talk about some of the things I have tested behind the scenes when I am given explicit permission to be able to do so. That's generally come from more indie and mobile games that have allowed it to happen. Otherwise, I don't say a word. So you could be playing something I probably tested and you wouldn't know. I can guarantee millions of people are playing a couple of games that I have tested that are on Xbox and PlayStation, as well as the Switch and PC, that they have no idea about. And it's fun to think about it that way, but at the same time, it's like, I also got picked up through a firm, so I can't really say anything. Because, again, NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. So, what's it like for the Game Idea Guy to be a tester of software? For me personally, it can be fun. It can be exciting. And then there are times it is wholeheartedly boring and I dread the process. I like doing testing, don't get me wrong. I enjoy being able to see things that are being worked on before they are released fully to the public. I have fun doing it. And it's a nice little extra bit of change that can be in my pocket for different things. Honestly, I haven't made a lot of money doing it because not every playtest is paid. Generally, a lot of them, especially when it comes down to smaller mobile companies or indie companies that are small, you may not get paid. You'll probably just get to experience what the software or game is before it gets released. And I'm okay with that. I have no qualms with that at all. Like, let's not get that twisted. I don't have an issue with that. Just stating that particularly, you don't necessarily get paid for every test that you do. And I'm not talking about the public ones. I'm talking strictly the ones that are behind the scenes that are unknown to the majority of people. So again, unless I am explicitly told that I have the ability to talk about it, to talk about my experiences with something, mum's the word. And that can be tough because I'm sitting here, I have to give them feedback, tell them what my ideas are, tell them what I think about whatever they have presented, give them ideas on how the UI works, how movement may feel, how different instructions may seem clunky or intuitive. And it's one of those things, it's like, dear God, I want to talk about this with people, but I can't. I can't. As much as I want to, as much as I crave the idea to do it, I'm not going to be a Tom Warren. And I'm not going to be somebody who's a leaker and leak information that was not mine to give. Now, granted, if a company comes to me and says, hey, Andre, we need you to go ahead and do a discussion on this topic, or we need you to drop a tweet real quick and say something outlandish, I'll do it. I'll do it and go ahead and collect that paycheck from it if there's one involved. Even if there isn't, I probably still do it anyway because it's fun to me. I'm going to say this now because there are going to be people that are going to draw the conclusion that some of the things that I have guessed that have been accurate have actually been things that have been passed along to me. That's not the case. I'm telling you right now, that's not the case. Because I'm not that high up on the totem pole. I wish I was, but I'm not. I'm just lucky at guessing some things. But the process, depending on which firm you're going through, or if a company is just specifically putting out feelers for people to test, which means you'll do the testing directly for them. But they'll also explain in NDA that you may not be credited in the process of the software development because you are part of a large group. More so, you'll be potentially clustered in with a group of people that are given credit as a whole versus you individually, unless you are like a standout or somebody who they go to for testing on a regular basis. Again, I can't tell you the companies I've tested for. I can tell you like potential firms that you can get tested. You can start getting testing situations at, like Beta Family. If you want to go ahead and start testing for mobile apps that are either in development or specific versions of mobile apps that may be getting worked on, that's a good place to go. The majority of your play tests there or your beta tests there are not going to be paid, though there are a good deal of them that I think are under iOS that are paid. Again, your mileage will vary. Then there's a Global Beta Testers Network, which is a great firm to get like more of the higher end stuff to test. But again, I can't tell you the specific companies that they are contracted with because that would go against NDA. But I can tell you they are easy to set up for. However, your mileage, again, will vary depending on your creativity when it comes down to doing the beta test and the information that you provide and how useful it is, as well as what type of hardware you have available to you to be able to do testing. So you have to consider those things. Keep those in mind. Then there is Playtest Cloud, which is one of my favorite ones to do testing for because they will regularly email you different surveys that you can do to see if you match up for upcoming playtests. They are very good about making sure that you get your information and that you have the opportunities available. Now, whether or not you'll be able to take the opportunity is a whole different thing. But they do a really good job of explaining the process, what you need, and how to do things. And then there is Userlytics. Userlytics, I haven't done much work with. I think more of their stuff is website based for the most part. So I haven't had a lot of tests with them, but they also explain things very well, just like Playtest Cloud. And they will keep you up to date on incoming information, and they want you to update whatever hardware you have, no matter when you make changes, so that they can give you accurate tests to do. I think every test I've done with Playtest Cloud and with Global Beta Testers Network, all of those have been paid. but those don't come as often as the other ones do that are free to do, which will help you build up experience and notoriety. So it's potentially a good thing to test some of the games or some of the software that is being tested for free or you're not being compensated for, because you will build up experience and you'll be able to find your voice. That's why I started beta family first. I started there, and I got into, they have a ranking system, and I was plowing through so many tests that I got into the top 100 from where I was, and they have thousands of testers. Now I'm probably not up there now. Look, I'm probably down in like 200 to 300s now because I haven't done a test with them specifically in a while. But I still get notifications every now and again when someone sees my profile on there and they would like to have me test for them based on what they see that I have done tests for and the ratings of my tests. So it can be useful. And Beta Family is where I have had the majority of the contacts that I've reached out to that have allowed me to talk about their different software and games. Beta Testers Corner is pretty much most of that. I think there's a couple that aren't a part of that series of discussions, but for the most part, Beta Testers Corner is the stuff from Beta Family. I would like to incorporate more of the other ones, but again, I need express written permission because I want to be able to prove that I was given permission to do so. And if I don't receive permission, I am not saying a word. There are games out right now I would love to let people know I worked on that I was a playtester for, but I can't. I literally can't. And I don't think that the NDAs have a specific limit to them that I'm allowed to go around. But I know a couple of them are from franchises that people regularly play. I just can't say which ones. Heck, I haven't even told anyone from the Winging It crew which ones I have specifically worked on. That's how quiet I have kept that information. Because I don't want it to potentially get out that I have worked on certain games for certain companies. I can mention around the companies that I may have worked for, but I can't directly say. Again, that for me drives me crazy personally. Because it's something I would love to talk with other people about. But unless I know you are specifically in the same program, which is going to be difficult to know because we are not in a lot of the scenarios when you're doing testing, you're not giving your actual name in the test. You're not referred to by your name. You're just separated out into groups or pairings depending on the situation. So that's something to consider. Again, these are my experiences directly. I have been logged into different discords during playtests for certain companies, and I even have on my Xbox One a playtest scenario that is no longer active, but it's part of my account now. It's linked into my account. I'm not going to show anybody because that might give a hint to who the company is, and I can't do that. It's like, gosh, I want to do it, but I can't. So don't think I'm going to show that. That's not going to happen. Again, I take it seriously. I may only do it some of the time, but I do take it seriously. It is something that I respect the ideas and things that people are doing in the gaming industry. So I'm not going to intentionally ruin that level of respect that I have by showing that off. Even if I so badly want to. So again, for the personal perspective for the Game Idea Guy, it's fun. It's great. There can be frustrating moments, and you can get upset very easily. based on scenarios that you're put in to work on things. But if you have patience and you're in it for the enjoyment of the process and actually learning, you will get a lot taken away from it. But this is one of those things where I don't like to appeal to authority, but in certain situations, it's like when people tell me I don't know what I'm talking about with certain things. I know more than you think I know. I just can't talk about everything I know. That's the big problem. I can't talk about everything I know. But it's one of those things where I look at like, I know this stuff. I know this happens but I can't tell you this happens. And it's funny because I find myself in the same type of situation. I remember hearing Liger and Duo talking about before. He can talk about, he's probably higher up than I am because he was in the development process as far as like music and stuff like that. So he had a little bit more leeway about what he could talk about. But there are certain things I know now he couldn't talk about specifically because of NDAs. And potential chance it would reveal his identity and ruin other work he may have on the table. So that's why I was like, I'm like, gosh, I want to get higher up. I do want to get higher up at this, but I'd have to have the availability to do it full time. And that in and of itself gets to be difficult to do because if you're doing it full time, you could have multiple tests going on all at once. I was in a scenario where I was testing 3 different types of software all at once. And I had to make sure I didn't mix up my information because that would have looked horrible. but I achieved what my goal was and everything got done right and set straight, but it can be difficult. I enjoy the process though. I personally enjoy the process. It's just that some things can be frustrating. And if you're a person that likes to talk about everything that you do, and you don't know how to keep your mouth shut, this is not the field of work for you to go into, not even to dip your toes in, because the moment you step beyond that NDA, you set yourself up for liability lawsuit. I would not do it if I were you. But if you're someone who is marked by patience, understanding, knows how to separate your feelings from your logical portion of your mind, this is probably something you could do. This is probably something that you could do. I would suggest not even telling your closest friends about what you're doing in the situations or in the scenarios, because a lot of the companies want you to be privatized while you're doing it, which is also one of the reasons I don't do it so often, because kids moving around and about and the sound can go into the different recordings that some of the companies want you to do. It can be messy. It can be very messy. But if you take the time to get to understand the process, and each firm will have different processes, or different companies will have different processes they want you to do. But if you can keep yourself on it and focused on it and do it a lot, you could potentially make a good living off of it, or make at least a good amount of extra cash off of it. It really depends on how often you do it and what you take on to test. It can be a lot of fun too. It just depends on what scenario you're working through. Now, there's a particular thing that I know is rolling out right now that I can't talk about, that I have worked on. I can't even tell you what company I've worked on it for, but it is rolling out now. That's all I can tell you. And that's as vague as I can get. That's as close to accurate as I can get with it. Because I can't tell you any more than that. And it sucks, because again, this is one of those things where I understand when I talked about the freelancers and contractors. I understand where you're coming from, where you want to put your stamp on it, your seal of approval, that this is what you worked on, but you can't. You're not allowed to. And I understand that frustration. But again, I keep myself in check on those things. Because if you say you talk about something and a change in direction has happened, now you look like a liar, for one. And on top of that, you've broken your NDA, which means that you will more than likely get less testing or you will get less opportunities. Some of them pay decently. Some of them pay pennies. Some of them don't pay at all. But it depends on the use case scenario that you're running into and what you're doing and what's being asked of you. So those are all things that you would have to consider. All things to think about. All things that could be beneficial to you or be a detriment to you. You have to know yourself well enough to know if you can do this particular thing. Me personally, I would love for more people to get into the process, but at the same time, I know that if more people get into the process and tried to join in the way I do it, a lot more people would be blabbermouths. Because too many people try to run through things for clout, and that gets to be a major problem. But if ever a company like Nintendo, Capcom, or Konami says, hey, we see what you've been doing, we like your work, we want you to come work for us for our game development to do testing, and you best believe I'm taking that job. You best believe I'm taking that job. Hey, Nintendo, please reach out, because I'll take it. I'll take the job. And I can promise you my feedback will be amazing. I promise you my feedback will be amazing. Because several of the things, especially even some of the stuff on the mobile end, have taken my suggestions and made use of them, and they have a really good product. And I know they're my suggestions because of the feedback I got about it. So, that's something to consider. Just putting that out there. and I don't mean to sound arrogant, because that probably does sound arrogant. That probably does sound arrogant. And you know what? I don't care if I'm feeling myself a little bit on that. I don't. Because I know I'm doing a good job with what I do. I know I'm being thorough. I know I'm being descriptive. I know I'm giving concepts and ideas that can be useful. Hence my name, the Game Idea Guy. Even though they don't know me as that, they know me as the person I am, Andre. They don't know me as the YouTuber. At least the majority don't. So, how can I summarize this? My personal experience is that I enjoy doing play testing or behind the scenes testing, beta testing, software testing, whatever name you want to throw on it. I enjoy the process. I find it rewarding personally. I like working with the companies, and whether they are high up like Ubisoft or EA or Nintendo, or if they're indie like somebody like Galaxy Trail or dang it. I had several in mind, and then they just right out my head. But it doesn't matter to me what level they're on. I enjoy the process. And I like being helpful to people that are working in the industry, whether that be just gaming or just general tech. I enjoy working on the stuff behind the scenes. And I will continue to enjoy it when I have the opportunity to. Working two different physical jobs in real life makes it a little bit more difficult, But when I have the opportunity, I try to take those tests and seriously work on them and give my feedback and my thoughts and ideas. Because for me personally, again, it's rewarding and I enjoy doing it. So if anybody's interested, you can look up Beta Family, Global Beta Testers Network, Userlytics, and Playtest Cloud. I believe I have some join links. I'll try to make sure to provide them in the description for people that are interested, just so that it's easier and quicker. And on top of that, I'm pretty sure I get something from it. So it's a help me help you situation if you're interested. Again, I don't think all of them do. If they don't, I'll just generally link the websites if I can't find that type of thing down there, so anybody that's interested can work on some stuff. And again, my suggestion would be Beta Family first to get your feet wet and in the process to see how well you do with it. I can't promise there will be a lot of stuff for you to do or a lot of stuff that draws your interest, but for the stuff that does, if you really give it the effort, it'll be worthwhile. All right. It'll be worthwhile for all of them. And you can do your own research and potentially find some other firms that might be doing similar stuff. I can't say which ones will be real and fake, because I've run into the process and encountering several that were fake, and I had to make sure that my information wasn't given to them. So you'll have to do some research, but the ones that I gave as of note, I know are reputable and you won't be scammed. Unless a particular app is a scam, then that's a different discussion. But that some of them get through the cracks sometimes. That's wholeheartedly different from the companies themselves, the firms that you would potentially be working with being scams. So that's it. I hope that this was an enjoyable discussion / also informative for people that might actually be interested in doing testing. Otherwise, thank you guys very much for listening in. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me, and until the next time, enjoy your games and please subscribe. Peace out, people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy, and I'd like to thank you once again for tuning in. If you would be interested in supporting my efforts in content creation, please head on over to Amazon and look up The Game Idea Guy Presents Gaming Word Search, and you will find both Volume 1 and Volume 2 up for sale. Thank you very much once again, and I hope to be able to create more content for you in the future. Peace out.